Hi, I'm Nancy France-Vaz. Welcome to my studio. Today I'd like to talk about the story behind the face, figure, and place. There will be 4 small paintings at Lovetts Fine Art Gallery for their small works exhibition. Mudra Pradama Mudra and the Third Eye. The model in this is Sarah Goodhue, who is a dancer, and she also teaches dance right now, and she was my yoga instructor, and she was teaching me all these different mudras. And this mudra in particular is called the gesture of unshakable trust and confidence. And something clicked in my head, and I said, you know, so many women artists, they're very insecure about their art form. I think men are like that as well, but a lot of my female artist friends, especially the painters and the performers, they would say, did that song sound all right? Did I do that step right? Did I paint that right? So what I wanted to convey in this one, the narrative in this, and it's on copper for a purpose. Copper is ruled by Venus. And so it's about women's femininity and the ability to nurture their youthfulness and their creativity and insightfulness within themselves and become so one with themselves, the third eye, the inner realm of higher consciousness. You become one with yourself. That means you love yourself. And the lotus in the background, love. So the infinite, it infiltrates and morphs into her body so that she becomes one. Green is chosen because it's like the earth. It's an earthy sign mixed with the copper. They complement each other. If you notice, she has the green on the forehead. The fingers are pointing up to the third eye, which is between the brows. But she has one nostril showing. That could be the third eye too. So I purposely positioned it that way to leave it to your imagination, whatever you want it to be. But in the end, women they struggle with that so much. And I think the allegory and theme is to have infinite love within yourself. The offering. I met Amanda, the model in this painting, in a yoga class, a vinyasa class, that a lady in my other painting was teaching, Sarah was teaching. And she had all these tattoos all over her body. And at the time she had white hair. She actually dyed her hair purple for me for this painting. And what I loved about her was when I first looked at her, I said, wow, look at that girl with all the tattoos and that crazy color hair. And when I started to talk to her, she was a completely different person. She was like a 5-year-old, like the angel. And so what the narrative in this is, a lot of allegorical meaning in this one and symbols that I used. It's about society and the label that they put on people. It's about the juxtapositions of life and appearances, how people base things on appearances and first time when they meet you. And so they would judge a girl with purple hair and a full sleeve tattoo. She's like this wild chick to be reckoned with. And then what you see is the angelic face that's almost like a pixie or a fairy with the white top that is purity. And I purposely did that. So the juxtapositions in this painting have to do with appearances. So you have the light and the dark. She is surrounded by the fairy, who could represent an angel or a guide that protects her. She's giving her light. The fireflies are the army, the family that belong to the fairy, and the light bolts coming in. They're giving her light so that the dark times in your life don't infiltrate. She is divorced, and she was going through a very tough time in her life, and she's a single mom with 2 children. And she practices yoga to keep herself in the light, balanced. So I immediately thought of this story that she is being protected by the fairy, and the dark is on this side. The full sleeve tattoo, by the way, this stamp of the fairy was done by me. I redesigned her arm. I thought the bird with the fairy just worked a lot better because the bird almost could be the firefly. And is she praying? It's the magical against the mystical against the religious. It's the wild against the innocent, the dark against the light. Appearances and juxtapositions. Gypsy Heart. I love this painting because what I intended to say in this painting, the narrative, is the female artist, the bohemian spirit of the female artist. And what came to mind when I thought of this was J.W. Waterhouse, the Lady of Shalott. I have so many of his books and I have a print of it hanging. He's one of my favorite pre-Raphaelite painters. And when I saw the model, Lauren Conquer Sheehy, who, by the way, is the director of the Garden State Film Festival, she runs the video and TV department at Brookdale. She also is my editor. I met her at a function and I saw the flaming red hair and the piercing eyes, and I said, oh my God, you would be great in my magical series with gypsies and mystical stuff. And she came in a bag full of clothes and she just fit the part of a female bohemian artist so well. And what the Gypsy Heart is to not be chained by the boundaries and conformity of the world. Most artists that I know, usually they're the most creative when they have no one in their life, and that's what the Lady of Shalott is about. Once you fall in love, that's it. You're not an artist anymore. You now become a slave to whether you're bringing up children or whatever that is, and you're not free. And that was the taboo in that poem by Tennyson. So in this one, it's meaning the same thing. The Gypsy Heart, the one that wants to be the bohemian spirit that can fly forever without anyone telling her what to do. And the night. So the background's really dark. Most artists, they love the night because it's silent and it opens up their imagination to create. And certainly that happens for me. I used to paint till 3 a.m. and think of like too many stories. I have too many ideas in my head. But a lot of musicians also, they're playing or they're writing music till all hours of the night, and then they're sleeping in the morning. So that is what that represents. And what she's wearing, the red, blue, yellow, very purposeful. Because the red, blue, yellow, for me, what I'm trying to symbolize in a very allegorical way is the colorful soul of the artist. One thing I really love is that Lauren was able to go into the zone. My husband tells me a lot of times he'll talk to me and he'll say, hello, is there someone in there? And all of a sudden I have an idea, and when there's no one around, you don't even worry about it. You start to sketch it down or write it down, and she was able to give me that very natural but kind of zoned look, and I absolutely love that. But she could also be a real gypsy in her enigmatic, sensual world. But I won't tell you the real story. You decide. Standing in the hands of time. Before the pandemic, I had gone on my honeymoon the beginning of October to November 2nd. We were there for a few weeks. And we started in Parma, Italy, where they make Parmesan cheese. And I brought all my painting gear because we were going from north all the way down to south and then end up in Rome and Florence. And so I wanted to paint things from life, but it rained so much when we were there every single day, I couldn't do that. So what we did, right up where we were in Bedonia, there's a place called Compiano Castle. And the story goes that it was built around medieval times, like 800 AD, and that the Grimaldi family has roots there. So we get up this hill, and as we're going up the hill in this village, I come across this apartment. Now, some of the apartments look like they were abandoned. There's a lot of poverty in Italy, and especially up north because of the job situation. And all of a sudden, this was full of life. One of the only apartments that reminded me of my grandmother's house. She had all these type of shutters on her brownstone in Brooklyn. I originally come from Brooklyn, so it kind of reminded me of that. And she was from Italy, and all of the mahogany in there against this salmon wall with all the peeling paint from centuries ago. I was just standing there going, wow, how cool is that? Then all of a sudden I saw a little red mailbox and it had mail in it. Somebody lives there. Well, of course, because the signs of life are the potted plants. In Italy, everything in their doorway, they don't have anything but hanging plants in their doorway to frame the door. And so I thought that was really, really cool. So I actually stood in front of this apartment for quite a while hoping somebody would come out, because I did not know the real story of Compiano and when it was built. But we moved on, and then there was a whole story, when we hit the castle, when it was, and we had literature on it. But the strange thing is that after this, the pandemic hit, and who knew that this would be so important, just like, a couple of months later. One of the other things that I failed to mention was there is this 99 all the way on this side of the painting that you could barely see. And if you go to the show, you'll see it. And it's not an address, but it's like people used to carve names into trees and stuff and spray things. So what does 99 stand for? Was it built in 99? When was it built? Or was somebody there in 1999? We don't know. I hope you enjoyed the story behind the face, figure, and place. To see all of the 4 works that I spoke about today, you can go to Lovetts Fine Art Gallery in Tulsa, Oklahoma on June 13th, where the Small Works exhibition will be launched. If you can't be in Tulsa, Oklahoma, you can go to www.lovettsgallery.com and view the work there. And if you'd like to purchase it, you can buy it online. For now, peace out.